Hello everybody and welcome back to Odin's Movie Blog. I am the critic who is a cynic. Hope you are doing well, and today I'm going to be talking about a few different things, but the first thing I want to talk about is Mission Impossible Fallout. My god, this is an amazing film. It's already got a 97% from critics on Rotten Tomatoes, 93% score from audience ratings, so it's doing very well critically, but also the box office numbers are really looking good for this film as well. This film is going to make a hell of a lot of money at the box office. I'm going to do a box office breakdown at some point, but I just wanted to say that straight off the bat, this film is awesome. My favorite part of this film has to be the stunt work. The stunt work is just amazing. I really do feel, and I'm really sad and angry sometimes because I feel that stunt teams usually don't get a whole lot of recognition. It's one thing that I feel like, you know, award shows could do a lot better is giving more recognition to them. Obviously, a lot of award shows have those categories for stunt teams, but especially if it's a televised thing like the Oscars, they tend to just not even mention it. They tend to just, you know, throw it on the website and say, oh, we did it earlier today and this is the people that won. They deserve so much credit because, especially for this film, they made this film. It is the stunt work that makes this film. Now, is there a good story? Yes, actually, the story is very, very good. It's very compelling. There's a lot of twists and turns that you don't see. There's some that you see coming, but there's others that you kind of don't see coming, and that's really fun. There's a lot of, you know, role reversals and all these other things. It's a lot of fun. It's one of those movies that it keeps you on your toes, it keeps you invested, and that's what I really love about it. But the stunt team, for, you know, without any doubt in my mind, is truly what makes this film for sure. And the one that I really have to point out is Tom Cruise. Now, of course, I am giving a huge shout out to the entire stunt team that worked on this film, but the reason why I point out Tom Cruise is because not very often in Hollywood do you have an actor that does not use a stunt double on most of his takes. In fact, I think it's like over 90% of the entire of all the scenes that he was in, it was him doing all of his stunts. You can see it very clearly because they show you his face. No green screen, no like other crap nonsense that they try and put in. It's him doing actually what is on the screen. You know, whether it's skydiving, whether it's hanging off a cliff, hanging off a helicopter, falling off of a helicopter. It's just amazing to me that he would rather go and do those stunts himself instead of having another person do it himself. It's just truly amazing because not only is he an actor, not only is he an action actor, but also he is a stuntman. He is his own stuntman, and it's just amazing to see all these things. And also the injuries he's gone through in his entire life. While doing especially these Mission Impossible films, it really makes you like respect him. You know, obviously there's things in his personal life that can make you kind of go crazy about, about him, but no one can take away the fact that this man is talented and this man works his ass off in all the films that he does and puts everything, like puts his entire heart into all of his characters and also puts his body on the line as well. And I want to say with Mission Impossible 6 especially, I mean, this is the 6th film in the Mission Impossible franchise. 1 was great. 2 was the weakest one. I think that 2 is the one that I would normally skip because it just wasn't very good. Just was not, you know, it didn't feel very Mission Impossible-esque. And then from 3 on, they just kept upping the ante every single film. And I feel like this film outdoes all of the others with the stunts, outdoes everything else also with the story arc, bringing characters back, you know, having these narratives that just are so, I mean, they're just, again, it keeps you on the edge of your seat. There's not a lot of films that come out that have you invested in it. Even when you know or you have an idea of how a film is going to end, the fact that this film is able to make you guess, make you question, and bring up and raise that tension just gives kudos to the writer and also to the director, who's the other person I want to talk about. So the director of this film was Christopher McQuarrie, and this is a guy that's done a lot of great things, but this is probably, to me, one of the best things that he's ever done because, as I said, this is one of the best movies that I've seen in a very long time. Definitely one of the best action films the last 10 years, and that's saying something in and of itself. And a lot of it has to do with the stunt work, but also has to do with the direction of Christopher McQuarrie. And it's not that much of a surprise because he seems like a very reasonable guy who knows what he's talking about, and that's the reason why I wanted to connect this to the concept of fandom. See, Mission Impossible's been around for what, 22 years now at this point, 6 films spanning a very long time period, and the thing that they understand is that they always need to try and please their fans. They know that the fans expect, that general audiences expect something in those films, and if they didn't give that to them, people wouldn't go see it, and people would just give up on the franchise. There's a reason why, being the 6th film in a franchise, that this film is still making bank. Just look at the box office numbers for this weekend. This film is doing very well, and by the end of its run, it's also gonna make a lot of money. And to me, that just says a lot about what they understand about what audiences actually want. This is something that I feel like so many different studios, especially Star Wars, especially Lucasfilm, that they could really learn from this, and also to learn from Christopher McQuarrie as well. And that's why I want to talk about this, because I do think it's important. This is a guy who understands. This is the first time in Mission Impossible history that a director has been invited back. This is the same guy that did Rogue Nation. So this is just unheard of that a director is, is invited back to do another film in a franchise. And to me, he's just shown himself to understand not only how to put a good product on screen, but also how to handle himself off screen as well. And so obviously we have an article from Collider here, and you can just already see it, just in this one sentence right here at the very end. But the toxicity surrounding The Last Star Wars isn't exactly new, and as iconic properties are starting to be mined in unique ways, longtime fans of source material are having intense reactions that can sometimes verge on the unacceptable. Such was the case when McQuarrie tried to engage with some Last Jedi fans. So when Collider's own Steve Weintraub spoke with McQuarrie on the press day of Fallout, he asked the filmmaker for his take on the whole toxic fandom issue that we're dealing with right now, and then also Twitter. So he's recently got caught up in the vitriol that's being spewed at Johnson on a daily basis, ruining Star Wars. Yes, that's vitriolic, Collider. Yes, you're absolutely right about that for sure. But let's see, how does McQuarrie respond? Does he respond like Rian Johnson does, by calling them man babies, by not actually engaging with them and trying to figure out what was wrong, to admit that maybe he made mistakes, that maybe the things that he did weren't very smart? No, he doesn't do that. But you know what McQuarrie does? McQuarrie understands that. McQuarrie understands not only how to make a great film, as is evidenced by Mission Impossible 6, again, the 6th film in a franchise, but this guy right here, Rian Johnson, can't even figure out how to please the fans with the 2nd film in a new trilogy. Like, obviously, when you break it down, you can say, oh, well, it's technically the 8th film in the franchise, is the 8th film, obviously not counting the independent films. But even then, like, the fact that even that he just doesn't understand how to engage with fans is just mind-boggling to me. And this response right here, and also his work on Mission Impossible, makes me wonder, why hasn't McQuarrie been pegged to make a Star Wars film? I'm sorry, but he has already shown himself to be awesome at making action films using practical effects in a very cool way, but also he understands fandom. Why? Well, let's look at the words. He says, I can tell you from my limited experience, I got caught up as an innocent bystander in a bunch of Star Wars stuff. Look, movies are very emotional. They're extremely, extremely emotional. A movie like Star Wars, a movie like Marvel, while you're dealing with comic books, this is stuff that's coming from their childhood. It's the same thing as campfire stories, and in some cases, it's the very fabric of their growing up. It's something which they are hugely protective. Thank you. Thank you for acknowledging that Star Wars is more than just a film, is more than just a fictional universe, that it is a part of a lot of people's childhood, that's a part of the essence of certain people. There are certain people who might have certain issues dealing with things going on in their life. Star Wars was one of those things that was able to kind of, pick them up. And so that's why when people tear down those people, or when people tear down Star Wars and to, essentially destroy what Star Wars was, obviously that's going to have a very impassioned impact by them. So he's absolutely right. Going back to The Way of the Gun film that he did, what I did in The Way of Gun is I defied the expectations of the viewer. I subverted them right from the very beginning of the film, and I learned a valuable lesson, which is that people tend to react quite extremely when you don't meet their expectations or when you don't tell the story. What I did in The Way of the Gun was I was asking you to figure it out instead of telling you what I wanted you to feel. Mass audiences, I'm not saying everybody, but mass audiences, yes, thank you for being honest, tend to reject that sort of thing. Thank you. Thank you so much, Christopher McQuarrie. You are, to me, again, I already love your work because I've loved the both Mission Impossible films that you worked on, and I still have no idea why you aren't not being given, why I really wish at this point you had done episode 8, because you would not have, as you saw, you learned your lesson. You did it once, and you learned, wait a minute, mass audiences are not going to like that. Star Wars is meant for mass audiences, so why would Rian Johnson, why would anyone in the right mind do what this guy admits that he did with his own films, when he also understands that that's not the way that you have to, like, certain films you can do that with, but other films you can't. It's risky, and he understands that, and I think that that's something that's really worth pointing out. It's very upsetting to them. They've come to be entertained, and they find themselves doing the work, and you confront that sort of thing at your peril. At your own peril. Thank you. So I understand why they're as angry as they are, and I've been listening to their complaints about the movie that they're complaining to. I've actually engaged some of them directly and spoken to them, and it's kind of confirmed everything that I felt, which was we messed with their expectations, and when you do that, that's the reaction that you are going to get. Thank you. Yes. Again, this guy knows what's going on. Whatever the hell they're doing at Lucasfilm right now, they should all just be fired. Dude, hire McQuarrie to be the showrunner. I mean, at this point, he's shown himself to be a capable director. He understands fandom. He understands the fans. He understands what people think, what mass audiences think. This guy, to me, even I don't even know if he has any executive experience, but just the fact that he's a director, just the fact that he's a producer as well, tells me that he probably has a pretty good idea how to put, how to move a franchise forward. Keep in mind, this is the second Mission Impossible film that he's done, and this is probably the highest rated film at this point, and a film that's going to make a crap ton of money to boot, being the 6th film in a franchise. So why aren't they knocking on his door right now? So Lucasfilm, I doubt you're watching this, but if you are, hey, check this guy out, because I guarantee you, Kathleen Kennedy has no idea what the hell she's doing, hiring knuckleheads like Rian Johnson, who, tried to subvert fan expectations and then goes and cowers in a corner and blocks people when they try and criticize the film and try and engage with him, just on social media. I'm sorry, but that's not the guy that you should be putting in charge of your film. And also, Kathleen Kennedy, you obviously have not planned ahead. If you thought, oh, we can do this episode, and then, oh, wait, Rian Johnson wants to take it in an entirely different direction. Oh, that'll work for a trilogy when you have one film set things up and another film just say, screw everything that guy just did, and then we'll give it back to that same guy and then say, yeah, now you have to pick up all the pieces. Yeah, again, Kathleen Kennedy has no idea what she's doing. This is the guy that seems to be the one that you need to go with, and that's all I'm going to say about that. But the one last thing I want to say is this is the first time today. Today was the first time that I actually used AMC A-List. So AMC A-List is the new subscription service from AMC Theaters. And I have to say, the experience was fantastic. So you basically, once you buy it, it's $20 a month, as it says right there, plus tax. It's around $21 a month. What you do is, all you need to do is have the AMC Theaters app. As soon as you sign up for the program, what happens is that your AMC stubs page changes to the point where you can then, from there, go to movie times, click any movie time that you want. It'll take you to a checkout screen, and then basically when you have this service, it subtracts the money for the film, and you're able to go see the film. So you're able to see 3 films every single week. So you can do that every single time. You can get advanced tickets. You can get movie tickets to IMAX, Dolby, 3D, pretty much any format at this point. The only thing that they have not yet supported are special events like Fathom events. Those are not supported. But any format to any other film is. There are no blackout dates. You can see 3 films in a day. The only restriction on that is that there is a 2-hour period. So that means if you go to a short hour-and-a-half film, you might have to wait a little bit before you can see another film. But still, that's a pretty good window to work with nonetheless. You can see the same film more than once. It all resets Friday morning, so if you want to go and wait and see a movie or see 3 movies on Thursday, you can do that, and then you can go see 3 movies on Friday because it resets. And it was just a great experience. I'm not sponsored by them at all. No one asked me to do this. It's just that I had been wanting to try it for a long time because I heard nothing but great things. I can say, as someone who has now tried it myself, that it is very straightforward. It is so much more consistent, and also it works so much better than my experience with MoviePass. And also with AMC, you know that you're dealing with a company that has been established for a long time, has been profitable for a long time, and is not going anywhere anytime soon. While with MoviePass, they just announced today that they were having more technical issues. I guess that they're probably running out of more money. That $5 million probably went away really fast, even though they're limiting the amount of movies that you can see now at this point. I honestly think that this is the way to go. So if you're a person that loves to see movies, this might be the one for you. So that's what my thought is on that. That's what my thought is on AMC Stubs A-List, Christopher McQuarrie, and also Mission Impossible. So I just want to end with Mission Impossible by saying that I give this film an A-. It's very well done. There's a lot of great action sequences to it. It's beautifully shot. The direction is great. The writing's actually pretty good too. I mean, for an action film, there's actually a plot that's, that you can follow. It is definitely, I would say, on the more complex side of certain, with certain things that it mentions. Sometimes you might need to have previous knowledge, though I think that if you went to see this film blind, I think you could still enjoy a lot of it. You might not get some of the emotional ties with certain characters, especially the ones that they bring back, but I think that there's enough there, especially enough action, to get you through the entire film. And also, I want to say that the reason why it's not higher than an A- is because at the very beginning, the first act, kind of like the first 30 minutes of the film, is very slow. It drags, and to me, it was just hard to get through. I was falling asleep towards, towards the first 30 minutes of the film, but then it picks up and it does not stop, and it's fantastic. And the ending is beautiful. The ending is perfect in my book, and if this is the end of the franchise, which we don't really know at this point because they could always, they could always continue to make more films. We honestly don't know what's going to happen. Again, this guy, Tom Cruise, is almost 60 years old, so who knows how many more movies he has in him, but man, if this is the end, he went out with a bang, and it was fantastic. All right, guys, so what are y'all's thoughts on Mission Impossible, Christopher McQuarrie, or AMC A-List? Please let me know in the comments below. I greatly appreciate that. Smash that like button if you like this video. Share it as well. Hit that subscribe if you haven't done so already. I would also greatly appreciate that. Have a great day, and as always, God bless.